UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi is absolutely stacked. Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. Robert Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. Magomed Ankalaev versus Rakic. This is an incredibly stacked card. I did not expect Topuria versus Holloway to be in this fight card. I thought they would be in the Sphere, as Holloway had hinted at, or in Utah, but not here. But it's incredibly stacked. Let me get on with my predictions. Ilia Topuria versus Max Blessed Holloway. I'm going to go with Topuria. I know there's a lot of recency bias with Holloway because of his performance against Gaethje, and I know the fans love him. I love watching him fight and whatnot. But the reality is, MMA math does work, and it is true that styles make fights, and that's why a lot of people are picking Max. But it's also true that Max failed 3 times, where Ilia won the first fight convincingly by finish. So, with that said, Topuria's undefeated, so he's doing something right. Max has like 7 losses, so it would be more surprising to see Topuria get his first loss than to have Max suffer his 8th. Max, for the most part, doesn't go for takedowns. The only guy he went for takedowns against that I remember was Jair. Jair's obviously taller than Topuria. It's going to be hard for Max to get that low to even attempt wrestling attempt on Topuria. Whereas for Topuria, it's going to be easier for him to take Max down. I think Topuria is better on the clinch. I think he's got way better jiu-jitsu, way better wrestling, and I think he hits harder. I think Gaethje lacked volume, and Max's resistance, endurance, and volume got Gaethje, and Gaethje got into that brawl in the last 10 seconds. Styles do make fights, and Max was a bad stylistic matchup for Gaethje because he's got incredible chin, incredible volume, but I don't think that it's going to play out the same way against Topuria. I'm picking Topuria, and Max has never gotten finish, but I can actually see Topuria submitting him. Or actually, I'm wrong. I think Poirier did submit Max one time. I actually feel like Topuria is going to either submit him or actually brutalize him over 5 rounds and win a decision. Whittaker versus Khamzat Chimaev. So I'm going to go with Robert Whittaker. This is actually a new weight class for Khamzat that he's only had 2 fights in, the Gerald Merchant one and the Kamaru Usman one. And that last fight with Kamaru, he essentially was not the same fighter after the first round. So it could definitely happen that Khamzat goes out there and watches Whittaker on the first round. Duplessis did this to Whittaker, I believe, on the second. TKO'd him pretty quickly and actually dominated the first. So it would not surprise me that Khamzat dominates the first round, considering Duplessis did do that to Whittaker. And even Adesanya, on their second fight, dominated Whittaker on the first round and on their first encounter as well. So Whittaker isn't necessarily the fastest starter. Someone that starts as fast as Khamzat will likely give Robert a lot of problems in the first round. But Robert Whittaker has a lot of 5-round experience. His second fight with Israel Adesanya, his fight with Kelvin Gastelum, I believe, was 5 rounds. And he's had a bunch of fights that have gone the distance, 3 rounds, like Jared Cannonier, et cetera, et cetera. So Robert definitely has the experience. And he's just been there more, so he's a little bit more seasoned. He's fought better fighters overall in terms of times that he's done it. Like, he's fought at the absolute highest level. That second Adesanya fight, extremely close. He's fought the best of the best. He's fought Cannonier. He's fought Dricus, which any of those guys could get Khamzat problems. Dricus, Sanya, Cannonier. So this fight goes one of two ways. Either Khamzat finishes him on the first by submission or knockout, TKO, or Robert Whittaker survives the onslaught and wins the decision. Because if we look at that Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman fight, which was also very similar to what happened on the Gilbert Burns fight, Khamzat is not coming up the same fighter on the second round. He's just not. I felt that fight was a draw, as a lot of people did. And, with Khamzat winning the first round 10-8 and Kamaru winning the last two. And if that had been a 5-rounder, I definitely would have picked Kamaru to win. Imagine if Chimaev had been made to cut weight, and if Kamaru actually had a training camp for that fight. So I'm actually going to go with Robert Whittaker by decision. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. So this is actually a rematch, and Gane won the first fight pretty convincingly. It might have been 49-46, or at least I scored it like that for him, with Volkov probably winning only one round, if at all. But since then, their careers have basically made a 180, and Volkov is now the one that is creeping up the rankings, and with a very good winning streak, dominating Sergey Pavlovich on his last outing. He's gained quite a bit of muscle and size, and I think that those wins that he's been having against the top of the division is going to give Volkov the confidence he needs to win this fight. Not only the confidence, but he's also actually bigger now. And even more confidence knowing that Gane can be beaten, because Gane has been defeated twice since then. So, in his last title fight, Gane was beat in a minute, finished in a minute. So I think that aura of invincibility is going to be out of the window for Gane, and I think I'm going to favor Volkov to win this fight. He's been more active up there fighting the toughest guys in the division, and he's actually underrated in terms of his quality of wins. He's defeated a lot of guys with a lot of knockout power, like Walt Harris was a guy 6'5" with incredible knockout power. Volkov TKO'd him, finished him in like the second round, gassed him out, and then finished him on the second round. Greg Hardy, a lot of people make fun of him. That guy's pretty big, 6'5". He's got a lot of knockout power. Volkov handled him. Was able to keep him at bay and win the decision. And he did the same thing with Sergey Pavlovich, who was on an absolute tear before being KO'd by Tom Aspinall. So Volkov's had incredible wins. He's also TKO'd Alistair Overeem in the past, Verdum. He's fought a lot of stylistic hard matchups for him. And, he's fought everyone. Oh, Rosenstruck. That was a good win for Volkov. He finished him by TKO. And he's fought the absolute best of the division. He fought Derek Lewis in a fight where he was winning the entire fight before being caught and finished. He lost to Curtis Blades, but he at least made it somewhat hard for Curtis. He had to dig deep, and since then, he's only gotten better and better. So I'm going to pick Volkov. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. This one's actually a tough fight to pick, because Rakic's actually pretty darn good. I think he was undefeated before his injury, and After that, he was beating Jiri on the on the first round and lost in the second. But he might have learned from that and actually gotten better. At the same time, Magomed only has the one draw to Blachowicz and the last second or last couple of seconds submission loss to Paul Craig that he was dominating. So Magomed's a really good fighter, as is Rakic. It's a very close fight, and I actually don't have a pick for this fight. Like and subscribe.